Well, hello, SNHU 107 students, and welcome to the SNHU 107 Learning Community webinar for week 6. We are going to talk about your week 6 assignment that you have, but we're also really going to focus in on making sure that you know how to build that final project and how to unlock your success with the Academic Support Center team and their services. First and foremost, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email them at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. A couple of webinar reminders. When these sessions are on demand or pre-recorded, you don't need to have a microphone or camera. This is an academic space, so anytime you're in the first year experience YouTube channel pages, leaving comments or in there, or you're in your classroom spaces, or you are in these webinars, or you are in SNHU Connect or in one of the learning communities, they're always academic spaces, so be mindful of your conduct. And just a reminder, these webinars are not mandatory. There is no grades awarded. There's no extra credit points, but hopefully you are learning the concepts and understanding how to do your homework and assignments from week to week, and you're learning and having a little bit of fun. So first of all, y'all, let's just take a minute and check in. Okay. So week 6, you're past the halfway point of the term. We're going to be heading into kind of these last 3 weeks of your SNHU 107 class. So I like to just kind of remind y'all, are you connecting with your resources if you have questions or you're stuck? Remember, you have so much people support here with those SNHU resources, from the academic support team to SNHU Connect, to your faculty, your advisors, the library, the help desk. I mean, the list goes on and on. So if you have fallen behind, if you have maybe missed an assignment or two, or you didn't do so great on an assignment, this is the time to reach out to your faculty and or your advisor. See if you can make a plan to get back on track or get those assignments turned in. They can very well say no, but the answer is always no unless we ask, right? So let's go after our best grade and our best of our abilities here this term. So make sure that you check to see, are you missing any assignments? How are those grades? Make sure you're plugged in and that you know what you're doing. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out, because we want you to have an absolute wonderful and successful term, right? So this week, y'all, this week I feel like it's kind of an easy week. Most students tell me they feel like it's easy because you just have a journal assignment. You only have the Module 6 journal template to complete, and it is centered around the topic of feedback. So you're answering these questions. 1, why do you think feedback from others is important? 2, describe your perceptions regarding receiving feedback. So things to consider and answer is how does receiving feedback make you feel? Are you somebody that maybe needs to improve your reaction to feedback, or you feel like you have a pretty good handle on it? Question 3, describe how you can use past feedback to inform how you give and receive feedback now. What have you learned from past experiences in which you receive feedback? A good example of this one is maybe you had a job when you were younger, or you had a job in your previous life. And maybe you got constructive feedback and it just didn't go over very well. Or maybe you were given feedback that didn't have a lot of details or information, and you realize wow, I'm somebody that really needs to have some more of that information. And I would make sure if I was giving feedback to somebody, I would do X, Y, Z. Okay. Question 4, describe the impact that diversity awareness has on giving and receiving feedback when communicating and collaborating with others. So why is it important to be aware of diversity, and what kind of opportunities does that give you when you're giving feedback? What problems could you run into if you don't understand diversity or you're not aware of it when you're communicating and collaborating with others? And question 5, describe how you can use strategies for interacting with diverse groups of people as you give and receive feedback. So everything's about feedback. What our perceptions are, how we take it, what we do with it, if we could improve our feedback, what have we learned from feedback, and then why it is important to be aware of diversity. And if we're not aware of it, what kind of problems could we have? So your journal assignment, that's it for week 6, is due by Sunday or before, as convenient for your schedule, okay? Now, I wanted to talk real quick too about that final project. I know this is only week 6, module 6, but your final project is a significant chunk of your grade, and it is due next week in module 7, week 7. I like to talk about it here in week 6 because I want you to kind of have a head start and be a little bit more prepared as you head into that last week when you're working on that big assignment. Okay, so just a reminder, That project, that academic success plan final project is worth 250 points of your overall grade. It's a significant chunk. So the bottom line is make sure you turn it in. Okay. This final project is really about connecting the dots. It is literally going to touch on every topic that we have covered this entire term. So some of the questions seem really familiar or really similar. And students always ask me, like, Miss Melanie, can I just copy and paste my answers from this into this final project? Well, the questions aren't exactly the same, but however, the concepts are. So make sure that you are reading what the question is asking you. Like, for example, there might be a question about learning styles and how learning styles helped you like do well, or how it, supported your success this term. So we talked about that back in week 2. So yeah, go back to your week 2 and be like, oh yeah, I was like this learning style and this is why it helps me. Those are fine. But just know that you can't always copy and paste everything because the questions are a little bit different. Okay. The only portion of your final project that's a copy and paste opportunity really is if you had 100% on that academic mission statement that you wrote in those 3 short-term goals back in week 4, module 4. If you didn't have any changes, edits, updates to make, and 100% on those mission statements and those 3 goals, then that's a copy and paste opportunity because you don't need to change them or update them. Okay, so this project again is thinking about all the concepts that we've covered, things that we've learned about our schedules, things we've learned about ourselves, any interruptions, and like what our mission and goals are here, what resources we can use. Like that is what this project is. So remember, take a look back at your assignments this term, look at the feedback from your instructor, see what they said on those assignments, use the template, and remember to use your resources in case you need anything or you get stuck or you have questions, okay? Before I take a minute and actually show you the final project example so you know what you're doing, I just want to remind you that you have a wonderful resource at your fingertips, literally a click away, which is that Academic Support Center. Remember, you can find the Academic Support Center, the very top of your page, that bright space navigation bar, click on Academic Support. You can also find them on the My SNHU pages under Academics and Support, and also on the module side under Learning Modules. They're at the bottom there too. So there's lots of ways to be able to get a hold of them. Just a reminder, there's a lot of services that Academic Support offers. Most students love that written feedback service. That is where it's like a drop-off service. You upload your drafted writing assignment, you select the areas that you want the tutor to focus on, and you get feedback, targeted feedback within about 12 hours, okay? There's also this digital database called the ARC that a lot of students like to utilize too. And then if you needed something that's very assignment specific or like content specific, there is the 24/7 drop-in tutoring. But just know that a lot of students really like that written feedback service. And the team is accessible. And this is a great way for you to really just kind of make sure that your final project is meeting all of the requirements and that you didn't miss anything, okay? I like to tell students, like, as you begin to work on this final project, students always ask, like, is there like any tips or tricks for success? Or do you have, are there common mistakes that students make? Number one, sometimes when we're using a template, we get in form filling out mode. So make sure that you're providing enough information and writing in complete sentences where you need to be so that your complete thoughts are understood, okay? The other thing is I always remind students, like, capitalize the word I, spell out the word you, like double check your writing for that text abbreviation, that texting abbreviation that we like to do when we're texting, because you're not texting, you're writing a final project and you need to be writing academically, okay? Have somebody else look it over. Have a friend or a family member or a coworker or whatever, look over your assignment. I always, tell students, of course, to use the Academic Support Team written feedback service. But sometimes if you are a procrastinator and you come down to the wire, it can be great to have a family or friend look it over too, because then it's another set of eyes on that paper, and it also just makes sure that everything makes sense and that they understand it, okay? I like to tell students too that you can always print this template off and like handwrite, fill it in, and then go back and type it up, especially if staring at a computer screen doesn't work the best for you. Or you can use that text, the speak to text option. A lot of your computer systems will have that availability from your Microsoft Word, where you literally can just use that dictate tool. And you can like answer the questions while you're speaking. There's so many options now, which is so incredible for y'all. But the biggest thing is you can also work on this project in chunks. That's why I talk about it a whole week early. You could get started on kind of going through the first 4 questions and work on that for a couple of days, and then go to the next set of questions and then finish it up and get it off to the writing center. So just some ideas for your success. that are out there. The biggest thing is make sure you get this project turned in. It's worth 250 points. It's a lot of points to be missing. So if you've learned anything besides that you completely got this and that you're capable of doing all the things, it's make sure you get this project turned in. I know that there are many of you out there who are procrastinators and you're like, great, Melanie, thank you so much for telling me about this project a whole week early, but I'm not going to do anything with it. That's okay. Procrastination is an art form. I also know that sometimes life can just totally be lifing and our weeks get away from us. The biggest thing is remember you've covered all of these concepts. You can just open it right up, type right in it, answer the questions, and make sure you get it turned in for your success, okay? I love to remind you, know how you're graded, use the rubric, pull it up, look it over, make sure you're answering the questions appropriately, use the template. That's why it's there. Open up that template, type right in it. If you really want to get creative and create your own document, more power to you, that's fine. Just make sure you have all pieces and parts, because I can't tell you how many times students have either accidentally deleted a question or didn't answer all the parts of a question. You'll lose points. So just make sure you keep it simple and double check your work, okay? Use your resources, reach out to your advisors, instructors, use the academic support team, come back and watch this webinar if you need to. And the biggest thing is like be yourself as you're putting together this final project, all right? So let's run through that final project here just real quick. First, before I do that though, I wanna remind you about everything for Module 6. So how do you find Module 6? You know, course menu, learning modules, right? And then you're gonna go to Module 6. When you click on that, as always, make sure that you review the introduction and go through any of the required resources under Module 6, but notice that you have just that journal assignment. Click on that guidelines and rubric, and it's going to open up that assignment for week 6, just like always, and then there's those questions you're answering. Here's the template under what to submit, Module 6 journal template. Click the blue, and it opens up that Word document that you can type right in. Again, that's the only assignment you have for Module 6, Week 6 in your SNHU 107 class, and it's due by Sunday or before is convenient for your schedule, okay? Now, Module 7, when you go into learning modules, scroll down to Module 7, couple things I want to point out here for you is, one, you're going to see this 7-1 student discussion, project discussion, non-graded. So next week in week 7, Module 7, you have a discussion opportunity. You do not have to post in this. This is literally a space that's here for students, for you to ask questions, share tips for writing or putting together this project, or you can even share like helpful time management or motivational strategies that worked for you so far this term. You can also ask questions about your project and things like that, but do not post any pieces or parts of your projects or activities in this discussion space at all. You do not have to touch it. You don't have to do anything with it. And sometimes students just like to share like, hey, I use the academic support team and it was really helpful. Or, hey, I kind of did this as I put my project together. Or, oh my gosh, this is something that really helped me manage my time this term. It's optional. If you want to do that, it's there for you, okay? The biggest project, of course, our biggest assignment that is that academic success plan, that final project. So as always, click on guidelines and rubric. And when you do that, it is going to open up the assignment, right? So as always, it gives you that overview and the directions. Here's all the questions you're answering, but scroll, 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 scroll. Look at the rubric when you get done with your draft, and like make sure you follow the rubric well, kind of grade yourself, right? But I like to point out that right here underneath academic success plan, there's an academic success plan template. It's in blue, okay? You can click that, open it up, type right in it, okay? It is the same document as underneath supporting materials. This document project template and academic success plan template are the same. I don't know why they're named differently, but they're the same. So I just wanted to point out, you literally click that, open it up, and it is going to let you type directly in it, right? So we click it, it's going to download to our system. So there it is for me. It's going to open up. When it does that, remember, most of you are going to have to click enable editing. And just like all your other assignments, you can type directly in the document, right? So we're able to type our responses, right? So I just wanted to show you that really quick. The other thing I wanted to show you is underneath supporting materials, there is a project example, y'all, an example. What I love about this is this gives you a solid foundation for understanding what your answers should look like. This is not perfect. However, it gives you a very great starting point, but I do want to give you a word of caution. Do not copy, paste, or use verbatim any of the pieces and parts of this project example, because it'll be flagged with an academic integrity issue faster than you can take a deep breath, okay? But it's here as an opportunity for you to see what a completed assignment for your final project that academic success plan should look like, okay? So I'm just going to run through it real quick so you kind of get a feel for like what this should look like. I do want to point out, if you don't like the bullet system and want to write it differently, that's fine. This is just an example, okay? You do not need to delete any questions once you've answered them. You can leave them and just type right underneath it. All right, remember, if you create your own document, totally fine, totally cool. Just make sure you have all pieces and parts and answer all the questions, okay? So let's run through this real quick. Question 1, identify a problem-solving technique or method you have used in a previous situation and explain how it helped you. That's question 1, right? It has several pieces and parts. Do you notice this? How might problem-solving methods be different in diverse cultures or fields of work? And how can effective problem-solving help you in your academic journey? So 3 questions underneath number 1. This student chose to use a bullet format, and you'll notice they wrote incomplete sentences and they shared their answers. So for example, I have used a trial and error problem-solving method. This helped me in many situations. Like for example, this student had a problem submitting assignments in Brightspace. They tried different things and then they were able to get it working and got everything submitted, okay? So they answered those 3 questions. Question 2, identify your learning style and explain how knowing or learning about your learning style helps support your success this term. All right, so what's your learning style or styles? Some of you are a mix of several of them. You know, this student said my learning style is the read-write learning style, and then they explained why this helped them be successful this term. Okay. Question 3, identify which of the 5 successful habits of an SNHU student have been most helpful for you throughout this course. Explain how those habits have helped you. So you need to identify at least 2 habits. So 1 isn't enough, at least 2. If there's more than that are applicable to what you want to answer and say, that's totally fine. So you'll notice that this student picked, I think 2 of the 5 successful habits of an SNHU student really helped me this term were logging in early and reaching out for help, and then they explained why. Okay, remember that 5 successful habits is an infographic back earlier in the term, okay? Question 4, how will you stay on track in your courses and overcome interruptions that may impact your schedule? This student just shared, like, I'm going to make a to-do list. I'm also going to work closely with my advisor, and they want to try to have their assignments done like by Friday so they have some downtime on the weekend. And then who are their biggest or who is their biggest interruptions? Well, it tends to be their kiddos, so they're going to plan on working either before they're up for the day or when they're asleep. So very simple, right? Question 5, choose 2 SNHU resources. Remember, that's the people support here at SNHU. So 2 SNHU resources and then 2 social supports. Social supports are people, places, things like organizations outside of the university. Not only are you choosing them, but you're also explaining why. Like why they will help you or why they've helped you achieve your mission and goals, how they're helping you prioritize your time. So you'll notice the student broke it down like this. 2 resources, 2 social supports. They named their instructor and explained. They named academic support and gave the details. And then they picked their partner and their best friend and explained why they picked them and how they're helping them. Okay. These next 2 questions, number 6 and 7, that's that personal academic mission statement and those 3 short-term goals. Remember, you did these back in module 4. So again, if you didn't have any changes or additions to make to that mission statement, you got 100% on it, you just copy and paste that little baby right in here underneath academic mission statement. And then same if you didn't have any changes or edits or anything for your 3 short-term goals, just copy and paste them right here. Now, keep in mind to make sure that you carry over all pieces and parts of your mission statement and that you carry over 3 goals if you're doing that, all right? If you had some edits or additions or needed to make some changes, you want to make sure you make those before you put your answers under 6 and 7. For example, I will tell you, I pull up the module 4 assignments and I compare them to the module 7 submissions just to make sure if there was recommendations or changes that those things got made. Okay, so I wanted to just point that out for you. Question 8 is to describe the importance of setting goals in your academic journey. So explain why you think that they're important. Question 9, how are you? So this is all about you. How are you going to stay motivated to achieve your goals and mission statement based on what you've learned in SNHU 107? So like this student just explained, like I learned like I'm my biggest motivator and they need a to-do list. They need to work with their SNHU resources, like meeting with their advisor every week. And then I love this. They even made a small reward system, like going out to eat as a family to celebrate for every class they pass. Whatever works for y'all, whatever works for y'all. Question 10, explain why an awareness of diversity is beneficial to giving and receiving feedback when collaborating with others. We just talked about that this week, right? So, that's a great question there. Question 11, explain why it is important to take ownership Be vulnerable, ask for help, and have an open mind to achieve your goals. The student answered all those questions. And then the last question is, explain what your biggest takeaway was from this course. Your biggest takeaway is like, what did you learn? Like, what was the thing that stood out to you the most? What is your biggest thing you're taking away? So for this student, they just said that their biggest takeaway is that SNHU wants them to succeed on their academic journey. There's a lot of resources. They feel comfortable using them. That is how they answered it. And that's it, y'all. And then you save it and you upload it to be graded, just like you've done for all other assignments, right? So I always tell students, excuse me, get your thoughts down on paper, submit it to the academic support team, let somebody take a look at it, make sure everything kind of connects and that all the information is relevant and it ties into the concepts and the questions that you're answering before you submit it. It's just a great way to kind of have another look at it, okay? Y'all, that's all. So remember, for week 6, module 6, you only have that journal assignment that's due by Sunday or before is convenient for your schedule. And then remember, I was just talking about this final project for module 7, week 7. That's next week, a whole week early. So that project will be due of Sunday of module 7. Okay, so you have time. I just like to remind you that you have great resources with the academic support team on this project, kind of just give you a quick overview about it, or not really quick, but a detailed overview about it so you feel comfortable and confident as you work on it, and give yourself just a little bit of extra time to have that assignment ready. Remember, for module 7, and we'll talk more about this too in module 7's quick webinar, but there's a discussion space, but it's not graded. It's just there in case you need it. So that's it, y'all. So week 6, get your journal assignment done, and now you have a little bit of a heads up on your module 7 assignment. Just remember, if you're stuck, if you need anything, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out directly to your SNHU faculty or your advisor. We are excited for you. We love these projects. And if you need anything, reach out. Remember, you got this, and I'll see you next week.